Good evening. I'm John Voida, a volunteer with AARP New Jersey. Thank you for joining us for our third Melodies of the Garden State Facebook Live. This is a four-part series where once per week we discuss the link between music and brain health and explore the unique history of music right here in the Garden State. Our next and final segment will take place on Monday, October 5th at 5:30 p.m. here on AARP New Jersey Facebook page. According to a new report from the AARP-founded Global Council on Brain Health, adults who engage in music making and listening are more likely to self-report their overall health, brain health, and cognitive function as excellent or very good. A recent study showed self-implemented daily music listening can aid recovery of memory and attention and also improve mood more than audiobook listening in the early phases after stroke. In one experiment, researchers conducted brain scans on college students and later asked them to rate how empathetic they were to as individuals. The scans revealed that those who ranked themselves more empathetic showed more brain activity, including in the reward center of their brains, while listening to songs that they liked. Researchers concluded that individuals with more empathy had a greater appreciation of music and theorized that people process music in a similar manner to how the brain processes empathy for others. For more information and to read the full report, visit aarp.org/brainhealth. Again, that's aarp.org/brainhealth. Now for a little more on our Melodies of the Garden State Facebook Live series. Each week we will be joined by Professor Dewar McLeod. Professor McLeod earned his BA from Eugene Lang College at New School and his PhD from the City University of New York Graduate Center. Currently, he teaches at William Patterson University with a focus on the history of popular culture, rock and roll, childhood, suburbia, and U.S. foreign policy. He's the author of a new book out now called Making the Scene in a Garden State, Popular Music in New Jersey from Edison to Springsteen and Beyond. Each week, Professor McLeod will share engaging and educational information about a certain genre of music. Then we will have a New Jersey-based musician play live and original music for us. We also want to make this interactive for our viewers. If you have a question or comment for our guests, please type them into the comment section below. We want to hear from you. And of course, we can't have a virtual musical performance without a drink. Each week, we will be sharing a New Jersey-inspired cocktail recipe, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, your choice, and completely optional. For our third virtual cocktail hour, we are having the American Collins. Our drink this week is a nod to Hamilton, New Jersey, which is known as the blueberry capital of the world. Here is the recipe for this blueberry-inspired cocktail. First, add 8 blueberries, 4 cherries, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and 3/4 ounce of simple syrup to a tall glass and muddle well. Second, add 1½ ounces of gin and fill the glass with ice. Lastly, top with club soda and garnish with a cherry or additional blueberries or both. And enjoy. For our next Melodies of the Garden State segment, we will be looking for New Jersey-inspired cocktail recipes, and we want to hear from you. Do you have a favorite New Jersey drink? If so, please share the recipe in the comment section. It could be featured on our next Facebook Live on Monday, October 5 at 5:30. Now, while we all have our drink in hand, let's go to Professor McLeod, who will be focusing tonight's segment on New Jersey's Asbury Park music scene. Professor McLeod, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's a pleasure to have you on, and we are looking forward to your presentation.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I love every week your brain health little snippets there. And the empathy really strikes me. You know, my interest in music. I mean, I love music and lots of different types, but I became interested in really researching and writing about it because I'm really fascinated by how people come together to make and enjoy music. And you know, empathy is one of those aspects, right? Music is a way that we sort of cross boundaries, make connections with other people, and cross boundaries that we might not otherwise cross. And so today I'm going to talk about the Asbury Park music scene, which is obviously pretty well known in New Jersey history. And if you're going to talk about Asbury Park, you're going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about Bruce Springsteen. But I'm interested, you know, Bruce is pretty well known, but less well known is the story of the Upstage Club, which is the prehistory of before the Stone Pony, before Bruce becomes big. He emerges in the Asbury Park scene. And Asbury Park had always had this sort of reputation for summer fun with a kind of honky-tonk flavor. It was a place where people came from all around to sort of run a little wild, and in the 60s especially so. And there was this strip called the Circuit that young people would cruise and a loop along the coastline and back and up and down the coastline. And it also had a lot of different music clubs of different types. And so there's lots of bars and clubs, so therefore lots of musicians and lots of people who love music. And so the local scene, the local music scene is something that was, you know, as extraordinary really as any, even much bigger cities. And so in the middle of this, there emerges this place called the Upstage Club, which was founded by Tom and Margaret Potter. And Tom was about 20 years older than Margaret, and they met and fell in love and got married. And they were both actually hairdressers, but they were both artists and both very artistically inclined. So they started hosting sort of all-night jam sessions in their apartment on Cookman Avenue in the 60s, very much at the time of the folk music scene was going on in Greenwich Village, and there was music scenes in London and Los Angeles and all of this. And so they were hosting these jam sessions, and Margaret became a musician. That's her Margaret and the Distractions was her band. And they decided to open up a club that started first as a sort of coffee house. And I want to say here, most of these pictures all come from this wonderful book called For Music's Sake by their granddaughter, and about Asbury Park's, about the Upstage Club and the Green Mermaid Cafe, which was the other space. And these pictures all come from that. And there's wonderful stories in there, and I highly recommend it. And I used it a lot for my chapter as well. And so you would come in, they rented this space, and on the second floor was the cafe. And then they moved up to the third floor as well. And you come into these stairs and you see the walls are painted very psychedelic. And you come into this open room with a stage at one end. While the second floor had this sort of folk music cafe, the upstairs was made for rock and roll and for jamming. And I love this picture here. You see all those holes, might look a little mysterious. Those are speaker holes. And the wall was covered in speakers, and they filled them up with speakers. And you can see the curtain in the other picture, the curtains in front of it. And what they would do with these all-night jam sessions, they would have music, and then they'd close down and kick the underage kids out before midnight, and they closed from 12 to 1. And then after 1 o'clock, they would reopen and for jam sessions. And people would sign up at the door, and Tom would make a list, and then he would assign them places, time slots. And he'd say, okay, you're going to be on at 3 o'clock. And you would play with whoever else was assigned to you, whoever else he had put at that time. And so, you know, every night people would show up, and they wouldn't know who they were going to play with, and they would just have to walk up to the stage and plug in. And if you know musicians, you know they often love to be very fiddly and finicky about their equipment and all of this. And at this place, you were told when to play, who you were going to play with, and you'd go up there, you'd plug in, and you'd start playing. And so they'd have these people come in after they were playing at other clubs and playing other gigs, and they would come in and just jam. And this was a place that bridged many of the borders of the musical genre and of society, although not all. So I can't really talk about this and you probably aren't even really interested unless I talk about Bruce, right? One day, and I did some research on this, and I really looked as deeply as I could, because as a historian, I want to find out the truth. I don't want to just hear the happy story. But every account I heard of Bruce walking into the Upstage Club on February 23rd, 1969, is that the place just stopped. And everybody said, who is this guy? He had been playing around in other places, and he had come to the Upstage one night and checked it out and really liked it. So he shows up on this night, and he says, he asked Margaret, actually, can I play here tonight? And how do we do it? She said, sure, go ahead, plug in. She shows him what's going on, what the scene is like. And so he plugs in and he starts playing. And as again, all the accounts, Margaret said I had to run downstairs to the second floor to tell people, come up. And I'm just going to read you Bruce's own account. I came to stun, he said. And that quickly, he took, his Tom Sung remembers that he quickly took over the room. Within 5 minutes, you couldn't hear anything else except his guitar. And again, and I love Bruce's account, with no false modesty, right? He knows what's going to happen. We know, he knows what happened after this in the last 50 years. And he says, I plugged into Tom's Mighty Wall, stood back and kicked into Rock Me Baby, cutting loose with everything I had. I fried the paint off the place with all the guitar pyrotechnics and wizardry my 18-year-old fingers could muster. I watched people sit up, move closer, and begin to pay serious attention. And I love that because Bruce doesn't have to pretend that he's not Bruce. And there was something about him. And again, all of the accounts, Southside Johnny talks about that when he saw him, he was a little jealous, and just the lyrics and everything. And what's really fascinating also is that Bruce was a guitar hero. He had this gold top Les Paul. And, at this time, this is 69, the big rock stars are the great guitarists, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Hendrix, Jimmy Page. And so that's what Bruce wanted to be. That's what he came into this. And, that's how you kind of showed off your chops. And so he did. And again, people didn't know what was to come, and what an amazing songwriter he was and a storyteller. But they first saw him as a guitarist. And so that night he's jamming. The first drummer he's with is a guy that's known as Big Bad Bobby Williams. And then at some point, the drummers are swapped out by Tom Potter's schedule. Vinny Lopez sits down and starts playing, and afterwards they're all hanging out, and Vinny is like, this is, he'd heard him and seen him before, and he said, oh geez, let's make a band. And that night they started the beginnings. It was first named Child, then Steel Mill, and later became the Bruce Springsteen Band, and then the E Street Band. And that's where he met Southside Johnny. That's where he met Miami Steve Van Zandt, Little Steven. And that's, and it all started on that night. And so when Southside Johnny produced his first record, now Bruce has gone on to talk about the Upstage Club as the place where he really did get his start. And also just that, that this was the place where the people who really loved music and also really needed music. He talks about it as sort of music as survival. And it wasn't about how good you were. That was obviously part of it, right? You're trying to show off, but you had to show up with dedication and show improvement and show you could play with others. And, he even said some of them couldn't play a lick. And, again, some of it was competition, no doubt. Musicians are as competitive as anybody else, but some of them couldn't play a lick, but they showed up and were part of that community. And I want to close, with this, talking a little bit about sort of the end and the aftermath. So it doesn't last. And why doesn't it last? Well, like so many other places, Asbury Park experienced riots. It was actually the weekend of July 4th, 1970. And it really exposed something that African Americans in Asbury Park already knew, but exposed to the others, the racial segregation of Asbury Park. And I think the Upstage Club, in my judgment, was a place where some of that was bridged. No doubt you had Clarence Clemens, you David Sanchez, they all met Bruce Springsteen there. They all did come together there. So musicians were playing black clubs and white clubs, and they would come together. And it was definitely one of those places that that racial divide was bridged, but not enough to heal the city, right? And so very quickly after the club shut down, there had been violence, and there was just a kind of disheartening that spread throughout the community. So next week I'll be talking about the scene at Hoboken's at Maxwell's in Hoboken in the 1980s.
Thank you, Professor McLeod, for that fun and informative presentation. I want to remind our viewers, if you have a question or comment, please type it into the comment section below, and we will do our best to answer it live tonight. Now we are going to turn to our musical guest this evening, Mike Montrey. He's a professional guitarist, songwriter, performer, and music instructor based out of New Brunswick. Mike was named Artist of the Year in 2018 by New Jersey Stage. His current band, Montrey Band, which is toured nationally, has released 4 albums of original material, including the upcoming In the Middle of Hope, which just came out on September 25th. Now sit back, enjoy your cocktail or favorite drink, and let's listen to Mike's music.
Thanks, John. Thanks, guys. This first song that I'm going to do for you guys is called Spirit of Youth, off of the album that he mentioned, In the Middle of Hope, just came out. I sit alone here and stare at my phone, dear, out of my mind. Forwards and backwards, time spinning faster. Think that I need to unwind. I need to unwind. I need to unwind. So goes the morning, a bird without warning. I'm eager to fly. So goes the evening, the fire's deceiving. It's making me feel like I'm blind. I feel like I'm blind. I feel like I'm blind. And in the middle of my life, I reach out to touch the sky. Take me to rest, take me to hope, take me to love, or just take me to choke. Take me in screams, take me in dreams, take me forever and all in betweens. I'm not crazy, I'm just fine. Tangled and twisted, the knots of my mind. Throw me over, cut me loose, so I can return with the spirit of you. I sit alone here, I'm cleansing my soul here. The river is wide, flowing before me, the current is swarming. Give myself up to the tide, up to the tide, up to the tide. And in the middle of my life, I reach out to touch the sky. Take me to rest, take me to hope, take me to love, or just take me to choke. Take me in screams, take me in dreams, take me forever and all in betweens. I'm not crazy, I'm just fine. Tangled and twisted, the knots of my mind. Throw me over, cut me loose, so I can return with the spirit of you. Ooh, I'm not crazy, I'm just fine. Tangled and twisted the knots of my mind. Throw me over, cut me loose, so I can return with the spirit of you. Lead me backwards, steer me tight, lead me to light or just leave me behind. I'm not crazy, I'm just fine. Ooh. Okay. So it was interesting. Cheers, everyone. I was told to bring some form of drink to this event. I heard the talk about Asbury Park, which was cool. Just because this past weekend we performed at an outdoor safe event called the Asbury Park Porch Fest, where people are out on the streets and you play on the porches, as well as an album release show that happened from the Stage of the Saint, which is in Asbury Park, very old music venue there with a lot of roots in people that have come through that town. And we put that album out as a live stream, so there was no audience there, which has been an interesting part of all of this. And it was broadcasted on Facebook, and it was cool to play on a real stage again, but it's been a while because indoor music clubs aren't really a thing right now. But I've been playing in Asbury Park for 20 years. I played the Stone Pony. And when I played there the first time, it was not like it is now. It was the scene was a little bit rough down there, but they always kept the music going, and there's a lot of people to thank for that. It's a great town with a lot of great music. And so this one here is also off the new album, and it's called Statues and Saints. So you were raised to see color in the dark. So you were brought up to be you. And you listened to the old man from the park, and his words to you rang true. Then your life began to take this shape. A tiny bubble, a tiny you. Then the world showed up to deal you space, and you didn't know what to do. So forget your statues and your saints. Forget your building blocks, they've all been rearranged. Go out and find yourself brand new. It's the least that you can do. It's the least that we can do. No one told you how to make love in the dark. No one told you how to cry. No one told you that the sun always comes up. You didn't have to ask why. Inside your heart, you know a man is just a man, and that a river runs through all the oppression and the violence and the hate. You just don't know what to do. Get your statues and your your saints. Get your building blocks, they've all been rearranged. Go out and find yourself brand new. It's the least that you can do. It's the least that we can do. We will carry you through. We will carry you through. So forget your statues and your saints. Forget your building blocks, they've all been rearranged. Go out and find yourself brand new. It's the least that you can do. Forget your statues and your saints. Forget your building blocks, they've all been rearranged. Go out and find yourself brand new. It's the least that you can do. It's the least that you can do. It's the least that we can do. So I'm going to do one more song here with the time that I have. It'll also be from this new release called In the Middle of Hope, which we wrote these songs with my band, Mike Montrey band, in February. We recorded them. It was like one of the last things I did before the pandemic occurred. And so we had these 6 songs done. And we kind of sat on it for a little while and then decided that we were going to put it out as the album. And, you know, and now it's out there. And it was weird, though, because a lot of these songs had this sentiment of like, especially those last 2, a little bit about some things that were going on, but yet they hadn't happened yet. So songwriting is an interesting thing like that. You know, sometimes you find out what the song means to you after the fact. And sometimes it's a very narrative statement, you know, a literal thing, kind of like this one. This one's called Tell Me You Love Me. I wrote a letter from the county jail. I told him I wasn't gonna make bail. I sent a postcard to all my friends. I told him I ain't making amends. I think about you all the time. Think about the river and how it unwinds. I took a rose thorn and scraped it across my wrist. Watched as the blood just pooled and dripped. I poured a candle all over my skin and watched as the wax just started to spin. I think about you all the time. I think about the river and how it unwinds. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Take me to bed and leave me alone. I don't care what you've been through. I'm getting old now about you. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Take me to bed and leave me alone. I don't care about you all the time. I think about the river and how it unwinds. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Take me to bed, leave me alone. I don't care what you've been through. I'm getting old. How about you? Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. Tell me you love me, tell me you don't. I think about you all the time. Think about the river and how it unwinds. Thank you guys for having me. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Mike, for that wonderful performance. We do have a drink suggestion from Frank for a toasted almond. Frank, please send us the recipe and its New Jersey connection to us so that we can feature it next week. And we have a special message for Lillian Benjamin Boyson. Lillian, we are very glad that we were able to bring back some memories for you. Hopefully, they were all good ones. And we also like to offer a special thank you to all our viewers for joining our third Melodies of the Garden State Facebook Live. Please join again next week, Monday, October 5th at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook for more information on the connection between brain health and music, followed by another live performance. For more information on the power of music on the brain, please visit aarp.org/brainhealth. Again, that's aarp.org/brainhealth. There you can also download and read the full report from the AARP-funded Global Council on Brain Health. And don't forget, if you have a favorite New Jersey-inspired cocktail recipe, please leave it in the comments section for us. It could be featured next week. Thank you again, and good night.